Conflict in the Kasai province of the Democratic Republic of Congo has displaced more than 1 million people.
Fighters have seized control of more towns in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The fighting has forced thousands of people to flee the region.
And the Democratic Republic of Congo seems unable to shake free from the cycle of violence.
I remember that initial conversation as a staff. What do we do? What do we do with these families? Well, it's a no-brainer. I mean, they're foreigners, and what does God say about how we treat foreigners? Not to mention, like, if you took the foreign part out, how do we treat our neighbor as we want to be treated? If it were us in a foreign land, what would we want people to do for us? And we tend to think of ministry as this transactional thing, I think, in America. Like, you've done your discipleship class, now you're done. And discipleship in Jesus' model is just like people being together, and there's no shortcut for that.
There was a huge explosion, is what I call it, of just refugees that came to Missoula, and most of them were Congolese. And the existing Congolese in Missoula invited them to come be part of our church. We truly have felt that God has just placed these people in our midst and said, here they are for you to love and to learn from, and to grow with and to help shepherd.
We all know Congo is a country of ups and downs. We all know that Congo is politically is not stable. My life in Congo, since when I was young, life it was between gun and knife. I decided to flee Congo because of insecurity. It was not easy.
Na ndio nilikuwa Bukavu tukapata shida. Pakakuwa habari ya vita. Batu bakauana sana. Tulipita matatizo mingi kwa ile nchi yetu. Kupitia shida hakuna upendo, pakakuwa ubaguzi. Batu bakauawa sana. Batu balikufa sana, mafamilia zilikufa, na ndio ikabidi tukakimbia vita.
Wakati tumetoka Goma tukakimbia kwanza vita ndio ilitutosha Goma, tukakimbilia Burundi. Tumefanya miaka karibu 18.
Hakuna mkimbizi kwa maisha mazuri, awe mkimbizi mwanaishi kambini, awe hata mkimbizi mwenyewe anaishi katika vijijini. Hakuna mkimbizi yoyote ambaye anatoa katika maisha ya ukimbizi ambaye atasema kama alikuwa vizuri.
Njoba ikabidi sasa wakatufungulia milango ya kusema tukuye Amerika.
The journey to America, it was like a dream.
Ni kwa neema ya Mungu, na ndio maana mmetuona tulifika hapa ndani ya nchi hii. Kwa kifupi ni kama hayo.
MAC has a long history of missions involvement, and that has traditionally meant we send people on missions. And God has just sort of flip-flopped that model in the last few years. God has brought the world to us. It's about how do we equip them to reach their neighbors that are also being relocated here.
Why do you call me good? No one is good.
We have a couple of guys from MAC who have offered to mentor some of the leaders in the Congolese community, and so they meet on a weekly basis. We've just seen huge growth going on and huge understanding, just their biblical knowledge.
Does anybody know what this is?
On Wednesday nights, we have sort of an English as a second language class, but I think probably the majority of the ministry, if you want to call it that, is offsite. And it's the volunteers and the leaders, Laura and Robin and Doug and Dan McCloy and all these different people that are going offsite, ministering to their practical needs.
Tunashukuru sana kwa kanisa. Kanisa kabisa ilitupokea, ikatushughulikia, ikatupa mavazi kwa shida, kwa matatizo, elijua. Sijua tunaweza tukasema Mungu njoo atabalipa, si hatuna cha kubalipa. Mungu njoo anaweza kabalipa. Ile tu njoo nilikuwa na nani? Nilikuwa nawe ya kuongea. Ninashukuru sana kabisa.
Missoula Map Church, they welcomed us. Instead of give me fish, he taught me how to fish. That's Missoula Church did for me. I'm safe. Everything I need, I got.
I think when you look at the refugees issue as a whole, it seems so overwhelming. And I remember prior to the Congolese being at MAC thinking, what could I ever do that would impact refugees? To have refugees in our midst and in Missoula, it brings their story closer to home so that I can be more empathetic, I can be more understanding about it. But I think God also just has allowed us to have a little bit of an impact on them.
It's really cool to me how God brings his body together, getting to know these people, not just language or skin color or culture, but their heart has been really valuable because you just see so much commonality. And in a lot of ways, they've really caused us to level up as Christians.
When we can look at the refugee as a person rather than this group, and we can look at the Congolese as individual people rather than just that group that sits over there in that pew, then we begin to see them as God created them to be.